British online supermarket Ocado saw its shares rise 5.2% to the top of the European blue chip index after issuing a confident outlook with its first half result. Ocado Group is the only real winner in today's FTSE 100. Shares in the online grocer were up 5.5% after its half-year results were published. But among a sea of red, Melrose Industries led the losses in early trade, falling 6.37%. Three other blue chip shares have fallen more than 3%. Just East down 3.99%, NMC Health down 3.79%, and TUI down 3.52%. For more, let's talk to my colleague in London, Juliana Olanka. Hello, Juliana. Good to see you.
Good afternoon, Chime.
Good afternoon. Now, the pound sinks to mid-2017 levels hit by worries about the threat of no-deal Brexit under the new next Prime Minister and a deteriorating UK economy. Can you flesh up this for us vis-a-vis the equities, particularly as a new survey from the Shopkeepers Association shows consumer spending in June was at its weakest since the mid-1990s?
Yeah, not great news for Britain today, I must say. And let's just jump straight into those numbers, Chimmy. The British pound has fallen 0.5% on the US dollar to $1.24. The British pound is down on the euro by 0.31% to €1.11, and down on the Japanese yen by 0.36%. This marks the lowest point for the currency since April 2017. And according to Goldman Sachs, sterling is likely to fall up to $2 billion over the next coming months. Now, observers say this hasn't been helped by the hard-nosed approach that Boris Johnson, the frontrunner in the battle to replace Theresa May as Conservative leader and Prime Minister, has taken with regards to Britain exiting the European Union on October the 31st. Now, the option of choosing Jeremy Hunt hasn't softened the blow either, as it appears that they're competing against each other for who can be the biggest Brexiter of them all. Now, I mentioned it on your show last week that observers had warned that a no-deal divorce would spark a UK recession. Adding to this, as you've just mentioned, average sales growth weakened to 0.6% in June as Brexit uncertainty forced consumers to tighten their purse strings. Now, this is the slowest growth since records began in 1995. Looking at the FTSE All-Share, it's down 0.13% at intraday. The FTSE 100 is down 0.01%, and the FTSE 250 is down 0.66%. Abysmal figures, Chimmy.
Well, an interesting statistics from ONS today show that employees of Chinese, Indian, and mixed, or what you call multiple ethnicity, all had higher medium hourly pay than white British employees in 2018, earning on average 30.9% more. How is this data being read on the streets of London?
This is an interesting report, so we have to be very careful. I must say, here in the UK, it's very well known and a very well documented fact that the majority of ethnic minorities earn far less than their white counterparts. And as statistics can be rather distorting, you have to look at the actual report itself to find the accurate figures. Just 6 months ago, there was a groundbreaking report that revealed Black, Asian and ethnic minority employees are losing out on £3.2 billion a year in wages compared to their white colleagues doing exactly the same work. Now, going back to the Office for National Statistics study, while the ethnicity pay gap between ethnic groups narrowed, the publishers themselves said today that there are still some significant wage gaps that remain. The data did show that Chinese and Indian employees posted the highest median hourly pay, while Pakistani and Bangladeshi workers had the lowest. It's important to bear in mind, Chimmy, that hourly rates are usually associated with the lowest paid jobs here in the UK. In the stats that I've seen today, employees from a minority ethnicity earned more in the northeast areas of the country. And here in London, workers from ethnic minority minority groups are in fact paid 21.7% less on average than white employees. And that's a very important piece of data, considering that London has the highest proportion of workers identifying as being from an ethnic minority gap. So it's interesting to see how this will play out over the coming hours on social media.
Sure, I actually find that data quite interesting. So we'll look at what plays out of this interesting report there. Well, Deutsche Bank, of course, it's out there. Now, the bank's plan to cut jobs seem to be hitting UK employees already as they vacate their offices. What is the latest on this?
Well, yesterday we saw the gloomy images of despondent staff leaving their offices in London just 12 hours after Deutsche Bank said it had to implement a drastic plan to reduce its global workforce by 18,000, which is about a fifth of its 91,500 global workforce. Now, this has hit London particularly hard as it's home to about 8,000 staff. The bank expects to save £5.4 billion annually, having also sacked people in Sydney, Hong Kong and across the Asia-Pacific region. Now, this morning, the Wall Street Journal described these cuts as totally unacceptable and unaccountable, and they accused the bank of having questionable business judgments. Now, Deutsche Bank has been in trouble for several years, having had several run-ins with the police. There's even a story about them out on media right now. It started in the mid-1990s, and Deutsche set about converting itself into an investment bank to rival Wall Street, and it basically struggled, Chimmy. The bank shelled out billions in fines and settlements before and after the 2008 financial crash, including a $7.2 billion settlement to the US government over several selling mortgage-backed bonds to people with poor credit. Now, there is a ray of hope for some of its former London employees, and that's that the bank is still pressing ahead with plans for a new UK headquarters later this year. So there is light at the end of the tunnel, but very, very dark days ahead for those staff members that were sacked acrimoniously yesterday.
Quite a pity. I really don't envy those staff. Anyway, thank you for those updates, Juliana. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you, Chimmy.
All right.